Well, here it is, my first big day, and I'm the man in charge. I hope some perp tries something. He's in for a big surprise if he tries to take me on. I'll put him on his butt so fast he won't know what hit him. Then I'll arrest him. I can just see the news and TV now. Security officer was jumped by a burglar. The officer quickly subdued the perp and arrested him. Thought you'd get away with this, didn't you? No way. I'm the man.
Whoa, whoa, hold on there. Hello, I'm Ken Arscott, your narrator for this training video, Introduction to Security. That demonstration you just saw is not what is expected of a security officer. Your company doesn't need security officers with that kind of attitude. I'm not saying that you shouldn't defend yourself if attacked. What I am saying is that what the officer's inner voice was telling is the wrong attitude for a professional security officer. That sort of scenario is very rare. The fact is that there are over 1 million security officers working in the United States. Only 5% of them come close to a situation like that in their entire career. Most security companies, as well as proprietary security departments, practice the detect, deter, observe, and report methodology. Security officers are not required to make arrests, but have the authority to make a citizen's arrest. In some states, they can act as an agent of law enforcement, but only at the request of a police officer or a sheriff. Basically, a security officer's primary duty is the prevention and deterrence of crime, enforce company rules, act to protect lives and property. Security officers are frequently trained to perform specialized tasks, such as make arrests when they have state authorization, operate emergency equipment, transport money, perform access control, perform first aid, CPR, direct foot traffic, provide canine service, protect crime scenes, take accurate notes, write detailed reports, etc. Due to elevated threats of terrorism in recent years, most security officers are now required to have bomb threat training, such as how to respond to a bomb threat telephone call. Some also receive emergency crisis training, especially those located in soft target areas, such as shopping malls, schools, and any other area where the general public congregates. The presence of a security officer tends to diminish theft, employee misconduct, safety rule violations, property damage, and sometimes even sabotage. Security officers are often called upon to respond to minor emergencies such as lost persons, lockouts, injured persons, unlocked doors, and so forth. They could also be called upon to assist in serious emergencies by guiding emergency responders to the scene of a crime or incident. Armed security officers are frequently contracted to respond as law enforcement until a given situation at a client location is under control and/or the police or sheriff authorities arrive on the scene. So now you know that this is the real purpose of a security officer and not like the demonstration you saw at the beginning of this video. As a security officer, you are the backbone of this industry. Not many private industry jobs require fingerprints, drug tests, and criminal background checks. You're watching this training tape because you passed that gauntlet. That says a lot about you as an individual. You can live up to that standard by giving your full time and attention to all your training as well as the on-the-job training that you'll be getting from your supervisors. There's more to becoming a security officer than just showing up for work. When you first applied for the job, your company gave you the job description of what your duties would be. You were told that you would be protecting and patrolling their clients' properties. Some assignments would be inside and others outside. When you were hired or about to be hired, they told you that your schedule hours would vary, which means that sometimes you'll be working evening hours and other times you'll be working in the daytime hours. The fact is that most businesses only need security when they're closed. Therefore, most shifts you will be assigned to will be after the close of business. They told you how much you would be paid per hour to perform these duties, and you agreed. That's a commitment. A commitment is like a contract, but unlike a legal contract, you can quit whenever you want to for any reason. This is also true for your company. They can terminate your employment at any time for any reason as well. Remember, every time you pick up your paycheck, you and your company are reestablishing that commitment. Our goal in this training video, and should be your goal as well, is to develop professionalism and productivity. This in turn will improve your chances for increases in pay, better assignments, and promotions. Start by making yourself a pledge that you will be an honest and professional security officer. Keep focused on that goal, and it will not only make you a better security officer, it will have a positive effect on your personal life as well. The definition of a professional is one who has enough training and experience to master his or her job. In other words, take your security duties serious. Learn all you can about the post you're working, including the post orders. Studying is not the end of your learning curve, it's just the beginning. You don't become a professional by studying only a few hours and forgetting thereafter. You only become a professional security officer when you use what you are taught. Let's take a few minutes for an overview of these requirements. First of all, why are security officers needed in the business world when we have police? The problem is there are just not enough police officers to go around. In the old days, the king hired knights and palace guards to protect his castle. This is where the old adage came from, a man's home is his castle. Incidentally, that still applies today. Companies hire security guards to protect their businesses, their castle. The fireman can put out the fire, but the security officer prevents the fire from starting in the first place. The ambulance crew can take the accident victim to the hospital, but the security officer can prevent that accident from happening. The police can arrest a burglar, but the security officer can prevent the burglary from occurring. This defense is best accomplished by your being a deterrent. The business world also knows that the best defense against crime, fire, and possible injuries is to prevent them before they happen. As a result, a security officer's primary duty is to act as a deterrent. What is a deterrent? The basic definition of a deterrent can be defined as the use of threats by one party to convince another party to refrain from initiating some course of action. We are not suggesting that you threaten anyone. But what you should do is show your presence in uniform. That's not a threat, but it does say that I am a security guard, I'm here, and if you do something wrong, I will take action. The type of action you take will depend on the circumstances, the law, and your personal safety. Assets are divided into three categories: property, people, and information. Now, property is defined as all things of value that the customer owns. Property can be stolen, damaged, or lost. People are defined as customers, employees, clients, and guests. Information is defined as documents, computer data, company secrets, etc. All three of these assets become your responsibility when you report for duty. Throughout this training video, we will be referring to assets directly and indirectly. The job of a security officer is important. Police and fire departments know this. They understand that when a security officer does an effective job, it makes their job a lot easier. Every day, more and more law enforcement officers appreciate the dedication and professionalism of a security officer. Security officers are in almost every industry, in shopping centers, office buildings, warehouses, banks, factories, government buildings, construction sites, and even prisons. Security officers can be on foot patrol, patrol cars, on motorcycles, and even horseback. They are in every state from Maine to Alaska, from Hawaii to Florida. The bottom line is wherever there are valuables or large number of people, you will see security officers. Within the security industry, there are two categories of private security officers. Proprietary security is in-house security. These are security officers that are hired by a business or organization to protect only their property. The other category is security officers that work for a contract guard company. These contract companies have contracts with various businesses providing security personnel during specific hours. Depending on the client's needs, security officers can be armed, unarmed, on foot, in patrol cars, or at a fixed location. There are more, but you get the idea. There are all sizes of contract security companies, some with thousands of security officers and others with just a few. Keep this in mind, just because a contract security guard company is big, it does not mean that it's better. The fact is, smaller companies are able to provide better service. Why? This is because most larger companies are so big that profit becomes the driving force and the security officer becomes just a number. Whereas most smaller security companies know every security officer and every customer personally, and everyone's treated on a personal level. When you're assigned to a post, you're given some authority. This is not the same authority that police officers have. This authority is given to you through the Bill of Rights, which states that a person has the right to protect their property. This authority is passed on to the security officer when on duty at a customer's site. Security officers shall only allow certain people onto the property or in authorized areas. They shall allow only authorized vehicles to park in designated parking spaces, and they shall inspect cargo on trucks exiting the warehouse, just to name a few. We're now going to talk about a subject that has gotten more security officers in serious trouble than any other acts, and that is arrests. The legal definitions are a seizure or forcible restraint, an exercise of the power to deprive a person of his or her liberty, the taking or keeping of a person in custody by legal authority, especially in response to a criminal charge. A simpler definition is the taking of a person in custody or depriving that person of their freedom. The purpose of an arrest is to bring the arrestee before a court. Arrests can be made on both criminal charges and civil charges, although a civil arrest is a drastic measure that's not looked upon with favor by the courts. Security officers should never arrest anyone for a civil arrest, even if they have arrest authority. This is the quickest way to get sued. Leave those cases up to the city, state, county, or federal government. An arrest may occur by touching or putting hands on the arrestee, by an act that indicates an intention to take the arrestee into custody and that subjects the arrestee to the actual control and will of the person making the arrest, or by the consent of the person to be arrested. There's no arrest where there is no restraint, and the restraint must be under real or pretended legal authority. You are under arrest could be constituted as an arrest. The federal law states that any citizen may make an arrest for a felony crime committed in their presence. A citizen may not arrest someone who commits a misdemeanor. Just because you're a security officer does not mean that you have lost your rights as a citizen. However, as a security officer, you have to be extremely cautious when you consider using this alternative. The next part of this is knowing what is a felony and what is a misdemeanor. A felony is a serious crime characterized under federal law and many state statutes as an offense punishable by death or imprisonment in excess of 1 year. Misdemeanors are criminal offenses lower than felonies and generally punishable by fine, penalty, or imprisonment less than a year. Under federal law and most state laws, any offense other than a felony is classified as a misdemeanor. Certain states also have various classes of misdemeanors. With all the crimes on the law books, how could anyone remember them all? The fact is, not many people do. Here's an easy rule to follow. If you observe a crime, ask yourself, if I arrest that person, could they go to jail for more than a year? If the answer is yes, that's a felony. If the answer is no, that's a misdemeanor. If the answer is, I'm not sure, take the side of caution and call it a misdemeanor. Remember, citizens can arrest someone only if they want to and only if it's a felony committed in their presence. That should be your guidelines as well. Citizens and security officers may not arrest anyone for a misdemeanor, whereas a police officer may arrest someone for misdemeanors committed in their presence and must arrest a person committing a felony in their presence. Most states require licensing and formal training regarding the authority of security officers. Because state laws vary, you should be guided by the laws of your state and your company's policies. Although it takes a special kind of person to be a professional security officer, it doesn't mean that special talents are needed. A security officer is constantly interacting with people. The following attributes are needed to be a security officer. You must have a good attitude, have a good attendance record, give your full time and attention to your duties, conduct yourself in a professional manner, develop observation skills, be dependable, always present a clean appearance, maintain a personal discipline, be a proficient report writer, and stay physically fit. When you put on your company uniform, you not only represent yourself, but represent the company, your fellow officers, and the customer. So it's imperative that you have the right attitude. To do this, you have to want to be a security officer, you have to want to help people and protect the customer's assets. Don't act like a drill instructor. A sure way to fail as a security officer is to constantly boss people around. There may be times when you have to be firm, but there's a big difference between being firm and being bossy. A security officer must be courteous at all times, even if provoked. There's no place for a hot-headed security officer or security officers that lose their tempers easily. Once you lose your temper, you've lost all effectiveness and put yourself and the company in jeopardy. A security officer is usually the first person visitors and employees see when they come onto the site. The way you look and treat people has a lasting impression. The way that they judge you is the way that they will judge your company and all of the other security officers. A security officer must be honest. Security officers protect millions of dollars in property and equipment every day. This is not a responsibility that should be taken lightly. Remember, you're being hired to combat dishonesty, not to be a part of a problem.